Hold on tight for the next hour. You're entering into a place, a zone called the alternative to the alternative media. It's a place, a special place where even truth seekers fear to tread.
All right, people, let's move like we've got a purpose.
Affirmative.
Okay, hey, I'm really glad you're back on the Investigative Journal on this Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, November 22nd, 2017, a day on our calendar. And, stay here for the whole half hour, for the first half hour, and then if you feel like it, stay for the second. And we're going to have a decent show. I'm going to take off Thursday and Friday, and I'm going to start tonight, right after the show, rounding up all the turkeys and getting them out of town. Yes. And well, people listened to my show yesterday, and it was all about turkeys and turkeys surviving the turkey holocaust that takes place tomorrow. And I got a couple, so go back to my show from yesterday. We're going to talk a little bit about that, then talk about the show I did Monday, which is a huge scandal going on in Rome, but our journalists here don't seem to be covering it. They're too busy covering their own scandals, and I'll get to that in a minute. But what I wanted to mention, I got a couple emails, and one person said, "Greg, you're gonna eat turkey on Thanksgiving. I know it. I can just feel it." I'm going to sit here right now and tell you I'm not. And I won't even sit at the table if there is a turkey in honor of the turkeys who I have to do a speech at the turkey convention next year. And so in honor of them, I'm not even going to sit at a table that has a turkey. There you go. Then I got another email. "Greg, you ruined my Thanksgiving. Every time I look down at that basted bird, I'm going to see the head of Kramer on it." Well, that's an inside joke. And maybe you've never seen the Seinfeld episode where Newman gets enthralled with Kramer, and he gets the food thrown on him in a restaurant, and flour and all this stuff, and Kramer envisions him as a turkey with Kramer's head on it. Or Newman envisions Kramer. You have to go to that episode. It was quite funny. My interpretation was horrible. But somehow it started where Kramer fell asleep in a jacuzzi in his house. He put in one of those plastic ones. And somehow they were basting him with butter or something. I don't know. You have to go watch it. It's quite funny, though. And that's the two emails I got on that show. Let's go back to my Monday show. And it's all about Pope's altar boys claim they've been raped by high-level priests during and after Mass in St. Peter's Basilica, some 200 yards away from where the Pope lives. These are the Pope's altar boys. So he has to know what's going on. And this is a huge story in Italy, covered by all the major newspapers, all the TV stations. And the Vatican's issued a typical response, denying. But in some of the priests that were talking off the cuff, you can kind of tell that it's really happening. It's been going on a long time. So let me put an article that I interviewed Leo Zagami from Rome on Monday, and we talked a little bit about it, a lot about it, by the way. And he gave us some inside information, and he wrote an article about it, translated into English. And I put it on my website, but I've got it here in front of me with pictures. He's got a picture of Kevin Spacey in a priest outfit. How fitting. They'll make, for Kevin Spacey's work as an actor and as well as a pedophile, the Vatican will probably give him sainthood. But while the international media is focusing, says Zagami, on Hollywood, there's an enormous scandal erupting in the Vatican. Now, as Leo said yesterday, I'll get to the story here. This broke out about a week ago. He had some timely news on Monday, and there's really not much going on here. The states seem to be ignoring it. Instead, every other day there's a journalist or a TV commentator or a politician or a i.e., what else? what have you, an actor, in the entertainment field getting accused of sexual harassment. We'll get back to that in a minute. Oh, wait a minute, though. I'm waiting for the first guy to come forward saying that he was groped by Nancy Pelosi or Hillary Clinton or one of the women in Congress, or an actor coming forward and said he was molested by one of the Hollywood actresses, or an actor coming for, or a what else we got? We got actors, politician, a TV host saying, my guest, she groped me before the show. Now, how come you don't hear that? Now, listen, I don't want to hear that I approve of any kind of, I don't care if it's a male or female, this kind of groping and touching is off limits. You should know that. But we're acting as if women in America today are as holy as angels, just these little flowers walking around without any bad intentions at all. And it's not the truth. I mean, even who's ever been to a one of those? I remember one in college. This was years ago. Going to going to Florida for Easter break. Man, I saw some horrendous thing. I mean, if you want to just look at it, women doing some crazy things to men, and that never gets reported. And I think it's gotten worse over the years. So, I mean, both sexes are involved here. Now, why don't I hear anything from the males regarding being groped by a female? What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? I don't really think it's good either way. I think people should keep their hands to themselves, frankly, especially with strangers or in situations like Al Franken's at a photo op. And he's admitted it. He apologized, I guess. And as the husband of the woman he was standing next to was taking a picture, he had the audacity to grab her ass. Now, how many women have grabbed politicians' asses? How many women have grabbed actors' asses when they didn't want to? Now, is it that men really like that and women don't like it? I want to get to the bottom of this. Get it? If we're grabbing asses here, I want to get to the bottom of it. But, let's stop with this foolishness that every woman out there is a saint in modern-day America. It's just not true. And I'm just finding it interesting that there's a new one every day coming out in America, which keeps away any kind of scandal in the Vatican, which is really, 1 billion strong people think this Pope is a Christ on earth, and his altar boys are being molested under his very nose, and they still give them money, and they're allowed to exist in America. I mean, come on. So here we have today, Charlie Rose. 8 women come up and say, hey, Charlie, Charlie Rose, PBS, then he's on CBS. I've been listening to Charlie every now and then for years. And 8 women came out. Where'd 8 come from? I mean, all of a sudden, they're all coming out of the woodwork. And I don't, Charlie admitted, he apologized. I mean, I don't approve of it, but it just seems really crazy that all of a sudden all this is happening. All of a sudden. As if, all of a sudden the floodgates open and every woman that's ever been touched. And what would happen if I could tell you a funny story, and you'd probably wonder how many women out there, we're just talking about that last thing that Al Franken was accused of. Now, like I said, I don't think people should put their hands on people. But I remember when my first journalism job, and we used to go to this place called the Swamp Buggy. And, I was a kid, 20 years old, and we're all sitting around. And I had a really good friend. He's passed away since. He became an editor of a big newspaper. And we were very close journalist friends while we worked for the newspaper together. And I remember we were out one night and sitting at a table, and there's a band up there, but they were kind of just finishing playing, and the waitress comes up and is in between me and my buddy, and as a joke, he thought it was a joke, as she turned away looking at him, but she wasn't looking, he's kind of stuck his hand and kind of grabbed her butt, and she turned around thinking it was me, and I said, no, it was him. Now, there you go. I mean, is every man and every woman guilty of one little thing like that in their life? Now, I didn't do it, but she thought I did. Now, if it was today, and probably this woman's going to come up and now say, well, this kid back in college, and it was kind of a joke. Now, Joe came up with it. I'm not going to give you his last name. But anyway, I'm not saying that this stuff is right. I'm saying that it seems very funny to me that it's all coming out like now. Every other day, something new. Another guy, 8 women. Then we got, it started with Harvey Weinstein, Moneybags Harvey Weinstein. And then there were pictures that, how come we've never heard about, Bill Clinton now seems like normal, doesn't he? I mean, if we could spend every day talking about his transgressions with women and Hillary Clinton's with other women or men or whatever, and never run out of things to talk about it. But they seem to be now considered the angels behind the scene. Even Trump says, "Oh, I think they're really good people." After he, got into office saying he's going to put her behind bars. So that's what we're up against here. Every other day there's another one coming. I'm waiting for the first one that says, Rosie O'Donnell groped this guy, this actor, Tom Arnold. And Tom Arnold is going to want an apology. All right. So while the internet, let's get back to his story about Rome, because nobody else seems to be covering it. While the international media are focusing on Hollywood, there's an enormous scandal erupting in the Vatican. Seen silently processing from St. Peter's Basilica at 7 a.m. each day, the altar servers of the Vatican look like angels to the outside world, but there is a dark truth that is being hidden inside Vatican walls. Well, the truth is coming out in Italy, but doesn't appear to be coming out much on the other side of the pond, right? During the night he entered the room, said one altar boy, and began to touch me, masturbate, practice oral sex. All this happened for the first time when I was 13. This is from the One Mother Church, right? They say. How crazy is this all coming down? These are the shocking words of a former altar boy of Pope Francis named Marco, in front of the cameras of Italian TV show Le Leon, or Le Irene, or Le Lene, revealed for the first time to the Italian investigative journalist Gaetano Pecoraro. The shocking revelation was confirmed by another altar boy who witnessed the perverted sexual acts made against his friends and others by an older seminarian who later became a priest after raping at least 4 other boys. The shocking revelations made on TV by the altar boys of Pope Francis. You can get it. Just go to www.iene.mediaset.it and you can find it there. Video/Hanno. I guess if you Google some of the Italian papers and things, you'll get the story. This happened in the Vatican, 200 meters away from the house of the Holy Father at the St. Pius X pre-seminary base based inside the Vatican walls. When the altar boys eventually reported what was happening to their superiors, they were kicked out and their supervisor removed. The shocking story of an alleged sexual harassment and rape within the Vatican walls was initially exposed by author and journalist Juan Luigi Nuzzi. The most shocking of all was the sexual violence also took place behind the altar of St. Peter during the Holy Mass, as testimonied by one of the altar boys. As I was reading this, I was thinking, this is really a sick story, and these people there are sick. And and getting back to this men-women thing in Hollywood. Let's just talk about Hollywood. We know there's a lot of Hollywood lesbians. Now, how come there's not one young woman, coming up and stating she was sexually molested by a lesbian Hollywood star, a woman star? Do you think if it happened with Kevin Spacey and the boys, that it could happen with the Hollywood women and the girls? Why not? You know it does. Well, how come it's only the men right now? And I'm not defending any of these people. I'm just saying it's rather strange to me. And I think what's happening is we're getting this, holier than thou light put on all women. And it's not true. It is not true at all. Let's just say what's good for the goose is good for the gander. All right, so we're talking about this sick story coming out of Rome, and the priest seminary in question. The priest seminary in question is the only place where minors reside in the Vatican, and opened its doors in 1956. So, what do you think's been going on there since 1956? At the urging of the late Father Giovanni Falci, a suspected pedophile priest of the Diocese of Como, Italy, who is now on his way to sainthood. And isn't that it? You know, just like Pope John Paul II. He was a cyanide salesman, a Satanist, and he's a saint. And this guy will be too. He founded an association of like-minded priests committed to promoting vocations to the priesthood, when in reality he was recruiting them for a pedophile ring operated inside the Vatican for over 70 years. During the academic year, the students attend a sort of Catholic middle school or high school near the Vatican. Their altar-serving lessons, prayer life, and recreation are completely in the hands of the rector, another priest, and a layman who is now being accused by various Vatican altar boys of covering up the scandal. Because St. Peter's Basilica needs altar servers year-round, the priest seminary never closes its doors. In the summer, the St. Pius X priest seminary transforms into something resembling an altar boy camp, when in reality it's a pedophile's dream in plain sight, used by the deviant side of the clergy operating in the Vatican to abuse the altar boys of the Pope. For the first time, thanks to the efforts of the investigative journalists from L'Elene, the truth has been partially exposed in the Italian media, but the media in English-speaking countries haven't touched it at all. Please share this information, says Leo, and help break the code of silence around the newest scandal to erupt in the Vatican. You can get that at, I think it's at leozagami.com. Go to my website at greganthonysjournal.com, and you can get it there. Just something to think about over the holidays. And yes, we do have Thanksgiving coming, and everybody's rushing to the airport on Tuesday, Wednesday. That'll be a madhouse. And what about what about these people, when you get to the airport, man, it gets pretty sleazy there. They're patting you down with that little metal rod, and then they take your shoes off. What else are they going to do? What about the guy? Remember they found a guy working there, used to, I don't know, who knows anymore. But the whole thing to me is I'm just so tired of listening to it every other day. I guess I just have to stop listening, but it's just incredible. That's all you hear. And I'm not even saying it goes to the local level. Then they bring up all these state politicians. Then it gets down to the city politicians. And then there's Judge Roy Moore, that story too, and he's a Republican, and he's defending himself, and who knows? I mean, as soon as you're, in a sense, targeted here, or whatever, or guilty of doing these things, look, all of these people who's ever been accused has to, should have a day in court, but they're in the court of public opinion. They are already convicted, no matter if they did it or not. So let's say you get a guy like Spacey and all these people who are admitting it. How many other people can be bribed, can be targeted and then lied about? Remember the story about the Jesuits going back to the time of Abraham Lincoln, accusing a Father Charles Chiniquy because they didn't like him for spreading the truth about the Vatican's intentions of wanting to overthrow our country? I mean, nothing big, right? Just something small like that. Well, they targeted him and got a woman to say that he raped her. Now, that could happen to anybody now. And there's so much of this coming out. As soon as somebody accuses you, even if you're innocent, you got no hope. Your career's done. Now, in a sense, some people have fought it, and they haven't been let go. But for example, like Charlie Rose today, admitted it, apologized, and his show was immediately canceled. And that's that. So, enough with that. Let's hope that, people just can keep their hands to themselves. I mean, Come on, grown-ups. We know better than that. Don't we? But that's the decadent society that the Jesuits have created. And they're loving every minute of it, you can bet. And imagine what really goes on behind the scenes. This is stuff they want out of there. And like the floodgates open up and every little transgression's coming out, really covering up the real horrendous stuff like satanic worshiping, black masses, child sacrificing, pedophilia, huge pedophilia rings for money globally. How about the harvesting of children's organs? For another story that doesn't seem to get the play that Charlie Rose does and Al Franken and Judge Roy Moore. And the stories that should be covered never do. And so we're just constantly being bombarded with all this stuff in the media to keep us off the track on really what's going on. And perhaps that's what they're doing with North Korea too. Now, I've sounded the drum that there could be there has to be some huge conflict. I don't care if it comes from North Korea, whatever, but they can't be planning all this stuff without something big happening. That's why Trump's in office. I don't see it any other way, and I'm tired of listening and watching all these websites on the internet supposedly telling the truth, but not understanding the Hegelian dialectic. They still think like Trump is the warrior trying to save America, and then he's fighting all of the elite. No, he's one of them, and he's there for a reason. They work together. That's why he said Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton they're really good people. And that's why nothing's getting done. You don't see anything getting better. You don't see any tax reform. You don't see Obamacare getting stripped. And they got the House, Senate, and the White House. They're playing games with you. And until people realize that the Hegelian dialectic, meaning that the left and right work together, and there's no sense jumping on the bandwagon of either party, and there's no sense even voting. I mean, this is a ridiculous thing they've pulled on everybody. And until you get that idea, until you get that sunk into your head, you're just cannon fodder for them. They love every minute of it. There's another one on the left. There's another one on the right. We got them completely confused. Then we're going to put them together and make them fight. Yep. And they do it in war. They do it in politics. They're doing it now between men and women with all of these allegations coming out. They're doing it between black and white now. They're doing it between Muslims and Christians, Muslims and the West. Everything seems to be coming to a head, doesn't it? Then we got they always pull a dictator regime like North Korea or Cuba or something to start fanning the flames of war, and where they're going to break out, who knows? But something is going to happen. Well, something's got to happen, right? Or is it just going to go on a slow drip, 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 where it gets worse and worse and worse? Because it really doesn't get any better, does it? Are your liberties in a better shape today? Is your finances in a better shape? Is your politics in a better shape? Is your spiritual leaders are in better shapes than they were 100 years ago? No. Most of these Protestant ministers are bought and paid for by Rome. So this idea that where America is improving is completely ridiculous, and people feel it, but they really got to grasp where it's coming from. And I say all roads lead to Rome, and start studying it. And you're going to see something that will amaze you once you get enough information. And with that in mind, again, no turkey tomorrow, remember. And I'm going to be out there going after the remaining turkeys and trying to save their life. Okay, we're going to be back in 3 minutes on the Investigative Journal. Right back.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn, the Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The following program is labeled dangerous and off limits by the supreme Jesuit command. But stand tall, people. Listen up, and you may just learn something.
Oh, dear Lord Jesus, this ain't happening, man. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening.
Okay, yes, we're back on the Investigative Journal, second half of the show here on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. And I'll be off Thursday, Friday. I'll be rounding up all the turkeys that have survived and finding them a good home. And it looks like another genocide is going to take place in America on the turkey population. And I hope you're happy. Okay. You know, I was thinking last half hour, I've got a number of really tough-hitting stories I wanted to talk to, but I'm really not in the mood right before Thanksgiving. I did want to touch a little bit on the what we were talking about at the first half hour. I was thinking, well, how can you correct whether pedophilia exists with lesbians or gay men? How do you stop it? Well, we could make the laws. Well, first of all, the top people that are involved in this, they don't care about the laws because they're above the law. And you know who I'm talking about. And then many people we don't know who we're talking about. But what if the laws were strict? Like in China. Well, I don't know about China, But I know there's some countries that still, I guess Middle Eastern countries, if you steal, they cut your hand off. Get my drift? Or what about, I'm always looking for a business. You know how, you've listened to my shows, I'm the master of failed businesses. And I'm always looking for a new one. Some of mine that I've thought of in the past was getting into a partnership with Slats Grobnik and running the Roman Colosseum that he's building. And we would make a fortune on this one once he gets it done, because we're going to have the Illuminati, the Vatican-led Illuminati, as our gladiators, and we're going to be sitting there watching them on. Then I thought about what was some of my other ones. Oh yes, my tour company that would only tour occult. We'd go to every place we could find, and that would be endless. The tours would be geared upon. We are going to show you Satanism in the White House today. That's a good business. And I've had a few others along the way that never seem to get, I can't seem to get funded for these. I need some seed money. Hell, I can't even get people to donate a few bucks on my radio show anymore. It's crazy. Never tell the truth. It's a dead-end street. Let me tell you that right now. Never try to tell the truth. My advice to young journalists, lie, and you'll get a long way. So I thought of another one. Since we got all these pedophiles and all these sexual predators out there, they need a rehabilitation. They all talk about rehabilitation, don't they? I'm going to rehabilitate myself. Well, how do you rehabilitate these people? They go to these plush, $10,000 a day places, like Harvey Weinstein. He was sneaking out and living in the hotel room at night. What do you think he was doing there? These rehabilitation places, they don't work, so I'm going to start a real one. When you come to my rehabilitation center and you're a pedophile, chop it off. That's where it goes. I don't think, that's a solution. Kind of a, just a thought. But anyway, yeah, that's a growing business, reforming all these sexually deviants out there. Yeah, you think you want to be around them every day? Oh my God. Can you imagine if you're the owner of one of those? You really want to help people? Especially these actors. They're going to go in there and pretend that they're being rehabilitated because they're good at pretending, right? And they're going to come out and do the same thing again. Hopefully they don't get caught. That's what they think. And politicians are no different. They're actors too. They're actors on the reality stage of life, which is actually fiction. So these politicians will do the same thing. They go to these high-class rehabilitation centers. They got them for everything, no matter what you can think of. You eat too much chocolate, they got one for you, You wear white socks with black shoes and black pants, they got one for you for that. Oh boy, they just have rehabilitation centers for everything. And the funny thing is, nobody's getting rehabilitated. Seems to get worse, right? I was watching Ben Affleck today. Well, not watching him. I saw a picture of him, and I used to, I remember they did a movie I liked. It was called, what the heck was it? It was the first one they did with Matt Damon. I can't think of the title right now. I'm getting old. But he's battled alcoholism all his life, and he dropped off the wagon. Yes, it's off the wagon. When you're on the wagon, you're not drinking. Now, that doesn't make sense to me. Because if you're on the wagon, usually people drink on the wagon because they go to those hay parties, right? But if you fall off the wagon, that means you're now drinking, but you fell off the wagon, and you fell into a pile of manure, but you're drinking anyway. It doesn't make sense to me. I think if you're on the wagon, you should not be drinking. And if you're off the wagon, then, no. If you're off the wagon, you see what I mean? It's like that, you can't see the forest through the trees. for the life of me, I don't know what the hell that means. I've been trying to think about it, and I can't come up with anything. But, so I'm thinking about Ben Affleck, and he's also been accused of groping a woman, and he apologized, okay. And then he came up and said that men have to, really take hold, but just say it the way it is, Ben. Keep it in your pants and keep your hands to yourself. It's that simple. And women, goes for you too. But, Ben is, going to a rehabilitation center again, and it never seems to work. So I want to start one that works. I don't know how you cure alcoholism. I don't know how you cure drug addiction. But something's not working in the rehabilitation field. And maybe that's really what it's all about. Because the more people that are addicted, the more business you get. So you don't want to cure people, right? Why would you want to cure everybody? Then you wouldn't have any return business. That would be my thinking. I mean, it's like a restaurant. You want return business, right? Well, rehabilitation people, they want return business. So if we cure these people, we're going to lose business. So are they really trying? No. It's just a front. They make a lot of money. And the people get to say, yes, I was wrong. I'm going to a rehabilitation center. And that's that. So it's an open market. If you really want to have a good rehabilitation center, I could start, I'm thinking of starting one for people who eat turkey. Right. Tomorrow's a big day. You eat turkey. And you've been, in my book, found guilty of a turkey genocide. And maybe you should go to one of my rehabilitation turkey clinics. And I will cure you of ever eating a turkey again. And I won't do it through, cutting your tongue out. Get my drift? I will do it through love. Yes. I'll show you some turkeys, and we'll have a little get-together with all our turkey friends, and after you're with them for a while, you're not going to want to eat them. Let me tell you that. That's the problem with, carnivores. Now, you may believe in dinosaurs, you may not believe in dinosaurs, but I kind of like believing in them in the kind of a fictional sense. If I can't prove they were here or not. But I love those big ones that, especially in like Jurassic Park and stuff, that they ate plants. They went around, these big, huge creatures, man, and they were quite docile. They didn't want to eat you. They preferred vegetables and fruit. They didn't like human beings. They didn't like to eat their fellow dinosaurs or raptors. So, at my rehabilitation turkey clinic, you will never eat a turkey again if you choose to come. Now, that could be another one of my failed businesses, because I think people are addicted to that tryptophan, And that's what I call the turkey's revenge. Okay, so now we only got about 10 minutes before tomorrow, which is Black Thursday in the turkey world. But maybe we should not forget about what we're doing to those poor turkeys, but let's think about really what Thanksgiving should be about, and that's really giving thanks. And I don't want to talk about any big stories anymore today, and I want to take a few days to relax, but maybe we should spend maybe 10 minutes out of our life talking about what Thanksgiving really should be about. And really, I think each of us have a lot to be thankful for, no matter what our calling in life is. I guess the guy on death row would probably disagree with me. And there'd probably be a lot of poor people on the homeless streets right now that would disagree with me. And you know what? They're going to get a turkey meal. I mean, maybe I should start something where we don't feed the homeless people turkeys. We give them something nutritious, so to speak. like good fruits, good vegetables, get them on a good diet. But I know there's a lot of people who are financially upset right now. I know there's a lot of people. What about all the people getting evicted or foreclosed on? I mean, the foreclosure mess is incredible when you really look behind the scenes how these banks are just stealing property. And that's in most cases. I mean, there's some cases where, people work the system. But there's a lot of people that really don't think they have anything to be thankful for today, for tomorrow. And so they're going to settle for, well, I'm going to have a good meal, I'm going to have some whiskey, and I'm going to sit down and watch a football game. And thank God I have one day to do that. Well, that's not really what Thanksgiving should be about. It should be about really giving thanks to the Creator, whoever you think the Creator is, and whether you're a Christian or whether you're a Muslim or whether you're of another persuasion, let's look at it from the point of view of a Creator. And the thanks should be to there's so much beauty in the world that we take for granted. And as the days go short, or as they say when you're in the autumn of your life, you'll regret, as most people do, all the wasted days and all the wasted times and all the things that you had, whether it be money or not. Is that the real important thing in life? I mean, come on. Most people in America judge their success on money. The conversations are on money. Everything is on it, and it's really not where it's at, so to speak. Look, you can't live without it, but how much do you really need? And there's always a lot of things to be thankful for. And as I said, there's a lot of people out there who are in worse shape than you, worse shape than me, and they may not feel there's anything to be thankful for, but there is. And the real beauty is that to be thankful that you still have an opportunity to find your way. Up until the last minute, up until the last day, you have that opportunity. And that is a beautiful thing in itself. And while you're on your way, look at all the beautiful things there are in life. Take a minute to just look at things. Look at it from a different perspective, not of what you can obtain. For example, you look at a mountain, you look at a tree, you look at a beautiful landscape, and what is your first thought? How can I buy that? When you own it already. It's all of ours. You don't need to say, I own 8,000 acres. I love these people in Montana. Well, I got 8,000 acres, Charlie. Well, I got a 30,000 acre ranch. Everything's built on how much, and where did they get that from? Well, I'm a fourth generation. Yeah, well, where did the first one come from? And who owned that land before you? Could it have been one of the genocided Native Americans that felt what we're talking about here, and that is everyone owns the land, no one can really own it? Charlie? And then the beauty of looking at that. Man, look at all the beauty that that we're now in the time of our life here, we can't see that others before us saw, like a beautiful stream that isn't polluted. Like buffalo running free. Like, man, all the species of animals that become extinct because of the crazy lifestyles that we do here in the world now. And I just look sometimes and say the beauty that we've lost is an amazing thing to think about, because but there's so much beauty still left that we can preserve in our minds and in our hearts. And the idea that Thanksgiving boils down to just this weekend where, you wait for the Detroit Lions to play football and you get together. It's great together with your family and friends. But the true meaning of Thanksgiving should be those things like that. What are we really thankful for here? Our health? How can we get better? How can we help somebody? How can we help somebody do this? How about being a thinking human being and learning more? The opportunities out there are endless. And I'm not talking about, most people fall in this category that, well, I've got to think of this. If I don't think of a good business to get myself out of this hole, I'm going to be an unsuccessful person. That's not the way to think. Something will come about if you think of the goodness that you've had in the past, no matter how rough your life is. And then the thoughts don't become jaded. They become real and they become true, and good things will happen. And I'm not talking about you becoming a millionaire, winning the lottery, all that stuff. No. Good things will happen because you will spread good things to others. And no matter how you do it, you don't have to go out and be the savior of the world or go and start a homeless shelter. No, you can do it in so many different ways. One person. You don't even have to, you can communicate in so many different ways today. And that's the beauty of what we're talking about. So take a little bit of time to really think about since it is Thanksgiving, okay, it tells you just give thanks and think about the things that your Creator has given you and all of the beautiful land. Nothing, you know that old saying in the Bible, there's not a bird that falls that He doesn't hear and see. There's not a bird that falls from the tree that He doesn't see. And all the things created from now, forever, and ever were from Him. And that includes you. And so you're pretty lucky to even be created. I mean, He didn't have to create you. People walk into this world thinking they're owed something. I don't think so. And I think if you look at it from a point of view, don't measure your life on your neighbor's wealth. And we've all done it, especially if you come from America. And it's that old sobering thought when you travel the world and you start seeing the way other people live and you go, boy, I feel pretty good. At least I got a roof over my head, and I might not be a Donald Trump or a rich guy in America, but I'm sure better off than these people. So don't measure your life on others. You might not be better off than them. And I'll tell you what. Something happened to me years ago when I went to Italy. I was a young kid, didn't know, from Shinola. And I thought that way too. I saw the way these Italians were living. I said, they don't even have a refrigerator. The water doesn't run well. Look at these buildings. I mean, how do they live? They don't have carpeting? Little thing. And they don't have a refrigerator. How am I going to live? They're poor. I have so much more. But I found out they had so much more than me. They understood how to live every day. They enjoyed it. They lived in the moment. Didn't really dwell. Oh, these people were incredible. Incredible. Some of the people I met there that had nothing. Absolutely zero. Compared to what I had in America, compared to what you may have today. And there is example after example in the world just like that. And so maybe tomorrow, hopefully you won't be eating a turkey. And I can report when I go speak at the annual turkey convention with all those turkeys. They did want, how you end a show? When I did my turkey show on Tuesday, was it Tuesday? Yeah, yesterday. I always do it a couple days in advance to give the warning to the turkeys to get out of town. I always say, what did I mention? Oh, and I said, I have to mention it on today's show. It came directly from the head of the Turkey Association, Mr. Head Turkey. He said, Greg, will you please straighten things out for us? I said, what's that? He said, listen, this idea that you ever hear the expression, you turkey, when one person talks to another? I go, yeah. That usually denotes something, like you're really stupid. Yeah. And he's telling me, it really denotes something really bad upon us turkeys. And we don't feel we're being slandered, really. And we'd like you to make it known that you're going to stop the expression you turkey used in a derogatory sense to help our movement. I said, you got a point. How many times, I did something really stupid and go, you turkey. How many times you're in a bar, you turkey, and it starts into a fight? Because every time you call a person a turkey, a person's considered stupid, crazy, oh, how could you do that? You're a stupid turkey. And the turkeys really don't like that. They don't know why they got a bad rap. First of all, you kill most of them. And then you really add injury to insult. You defame them in a sense by calling them stupid, idiotic. Come on. Get with it, America. So, as life goes on, I got another campaign to run. I got these businesses to start that never seem to make it. I got this campaign to run, and it's to end the slogan, "You Turkey," in remembrance of all these great turkeys who have met their demise because of you. Now, you may not eat turkey if you're a vegetarian. I apologize. I didn't mean you. You know what I'm saying, the collective you. So I'm not singling anybody out. I'm using the English language in the proper way, a collective you, and ending the defamation of turkeys. So, I feel I've done my part. And now we both, all of us, have to do our part tomorrow and really think about what Thanksgiving really means. And hopefully, for you, it means more than just sitting down at the dinner table, enjoying a football game. I'm not saying you can't, but there's more to it than that. So think about that over the weekend, and make sure that you remember all of your family and friends. They're very important. And it's good that everyone can get together with the people that mean the most to them. Okay, I've got 30 seconds, I've been told. I've been told by myself. I act like I have a producer. I used to have a producer. They would have, wear this little earplug. Greg, you got 20 seconds. Oh, we got to cut. You got 19. And they go 18. I said, don't count behind my back. I can gear 20 seconds. So anyway, 20 seconds till Thanksgiving. And I want to thank everybody, really, that does listen to the show. I really do. I really want to thank you. There's many things here that never get covered in the mainstream. Thanks for listening. See you after the holiday next Monday. Good night.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.